A woman who does not listen, she is not defined by silence or compliance. She is a force, an enigma, a spark in a world that too often demands submission. She walks her own path, unyielding to the clamor of voices that seek to tell her who she is or what she must become. Her defiance is not rebellion for its own sake, but a testament to her strength, her wisdom, and her unshakable belief in her own truth. She doesn't listen because she has already heard the doubts, the limits, the judgments placed upon her. She's heard the whispers that say she should stay small, the cries that urge her to conform. But she chooses not to absorb them, not to let them settle in her soul. Instead, she carves her own narrative, guided by an inner voice that speaks of courage, ambition, and purpose. Some may misunderstand her, label her as obstinate or arrogant. Yet, she is none of those things. She is deliberate, discerning. She listens not with her ears, but with her heart, to what truly matters. She listens to her dreams, her passions, and the quiet call of her own destiny. The world changes because of women like her. They are not afraid to disrupt, to challenge, to demand more from life and from others. They inspire and provoke, breaking barriers that seemed unbreakable and shattering expectations that dared to limit them. So, to the woman who does not listen, we owe respect, for she teaches us that the greatest power lies in knowing when to close one's ears to noise and open one's spirit to the truth within. She is not a rebel without cause, she is a pioneer, an architect of her own future, a testament to what it means to truly be free. Strength and independence are not traits bestowed, they are forged through fire. They emerge from moments of doubt, from battles fought within and without, from choices that demand courage when the world offers only resistance. A woman who embodies strength and independence is not seeking validation from others. She understands that her worth is not tied to their approval. Her strength does not come from an absence of fear, but from facing it head-on. It's in the moments when she stands alone, her voice steady, her gaze unwavering, that you see her true power. She doesn't wait for permission to exist. As she chooses, she simply steps forward, knowing her own footsteps will carve the way. Independence, for her, is not about rejecting help, but about knowing when to accept it and when to stand on her own. It's about trusting herself, her instincts, her decisions, and her capacity to endure. She builds herself up brick by brick, with a foundation so solid that no storm can shake her. Such a woman doesn't just survive, she thrives, illuminating the path for others to follow. Her strength is not loud or boastful, it's quiet, steady, and undeniable. It's in every decision she makes, in the way she carries herself, in the way she refuses to bend to forces that seek to diminish her. Her independence is her declaration she belongs to no one but herself, and that is her power. Walking her own path is not a choice, it is a necessity. She doesn't walk it for applause or recognition, nor does she tread it to defy for defiance's sake. She walks because the road set before her by others feels too narrow, too constraining for the expanse of her spirit. It is a path of solitude at times, a journey through the unknown where comfort is scarce. But she knows that authenticity lies not in following, but in forging. This woman is guided not by maps handed down by tradition or expectation, but by the compass within her. Her steps may falter and the terrain may shift, but she presses on, trusting that each stride brings her closer to the horizon only she can see. There are moments of doubt, times when the easier road beckons, promising safety and ease. Yet she resists, for she understands that growth doesn't come from comfort but from courage. Others may watch her and wonder why she doesn't conform, why she doesn't take the well-worn road where footsteps have already paved the way. But she knows that a path traveled by many may not lead to where she needs to go. She accepts the loneliness, the criticism, and the uncertainty, for she values her destination more than their understanding. Her journey is not aimless, it is purposeful. It is a journey to discover herself, to live not as the world demands, but as her soul desires. And though the path may be rugged, the footprints she leaves behind will inspire others to step off their own beaten trails and find what lies beyond the edge of conformity. Defiance is often misunderstood. To many, it appears as rebellion, an act of resistance for its own sake. But in her, defiance is something far more profound. It is wisdom born of experience, of knowing the weight of expectations that do not align with her spirit. She doesn't reject guidance because she is stubborn, she does so because she has learned to discern between what confines her and what frees her. Her defiance is measured, purposeful. It is not loud or reckless. It does not seek to destroy but to create. Each act of refusal, each step away from what is imposed, is a declaration that her life will not be dictated by others. She defies not out of spite but out of self-preservation, for she knows that yielding to the wrong forces will strip her of what makes her whole. This kind of wisdom isn't granted, it is earned. It comes from listening deeply to the world around her and, more importantly, to herself. She hears the voices that tell her she should stay in her place, but she also hears the quiet whisper within that tells her she is destined for more. She chooses to trust the latter because it speaks a truth that the world often fears, that she is capable of greatness on her own terms. Her defiance inspires others, though that is not her intent. She shows that there is strength in saying no, in standing firm, in refusing to let the world shape her into something she is not. Her wisdom lies in knowing that true fulfillment comes not from compliance but from authenticity, and she is unafraid to fight for it, no matter how fierce the struggle. Inner resolve is a quiet, unyielding strength. It is the fire that burns steadily, unseen by most, but felt in every step she takes. This woman does not crumble under the weight of the world's judgments or the endless demands placed upon her. She does not let doubt linger in her mind, nor does she allow the noise of others to drown out her truth. Her resolve is a fortress built from every challenge she has faced, every storm she has weathered, and every time she has risen after a fall. She is not immune to the whispers of uncertainty or the shadows of fear, but she does not let them dictate her path. Instead, she turns inward, drawing strength from the place where her deepest convictions reside. Her inner voice, clear and unwavering, guides her forward when the world feels chaotic and uncertain. She knows that external validation is fleeting, but the belief she holds in herself is eternal. This resolve is not stubbornness. It is not an unwillingness to change or grow. Rather, it is a commitment to remaining true to her core, to her values, to her dreams. She is willing to adapt, to evolve, but never to compromise the essence of who she is. Her decisions are not made lightly. They are rooted in a profound understanding of what she stands for and what she refuses to accept. It is this inner strength that allows her to face life with grace and determination. When others question her choices or doubt her vision, she does not falter. She stands firm not out of defiance but out of certainty. She trusts the compass of her soul, knowing that it will lead her to where she is meant to be. And though her journey may be difficult, her resolve ensures that she will never lose herself along the way. She listens, but not in the way the world expects her to. She does not bend her ear to every voice or give weight to every opinion that seeks to shape her. Instead, she listens to what truly matters. She listens to the rhythm of her own heartbeat, to the quiet murmur of her dreams, to the deep, unshakable truths that live within her soul. This is not ignorance or arrogance, it is discernment, the rare ability to separate the meaningful from the noise. The world around her is loud, filled with endless chatter and countless voices vying for her attention. Some demand her compliance, others try to sway her with doubt, fear, or flattery. But she has learned to filter it all. She understands that not every voice deserves a seat at her table, and not every word spoken to her is spoken for her benefit. Her ears are tuned to something deeper, something purer, the quiet guidance that comes from within. This kind of listening is a skill honed through time and trial. It requires courage to turn away from the crowd, to silence the expectations of others, and to trust in the wisdom that only she can hear. It is not an easy path, for it often leads her to choices that others don't understand. Yet she listens anyway, knowing that the clarity she finds within herself is worth more than the approval of the masses. She listens to the call of her aspirations, to the truths that awaken her soul, and to the quiet voice that reminds her of her strength even in moments of doubt. She listens to life, not the surface of it, but the depth of it, and in doing so, she crafts a life that is deeply her own. Her listening is not a retreat, it is a triumph, a refusal to be consumed by the chaos around her. It is her way of staying rooted, of staying true, of staying free. She is often misunderstood. When the world looks at her, they see a woman who refuses to yield, who holds her ground even when the tides push against her. To some, she is labeled difficult, obstinate, or even arrogant. But these judgments come from those who fail to see the depth of her intentions, the strength of her convictions, and the careful thought behind every action she takes. Her choices may not always align with what others expect, but they are never made without reason. She is deliberate in her defiance, measured in her resistance. When she says no, it is not out of stubbornness, but out of clarity. She understands herself, her needs, her goals, and she refuses to compromise on what truly matters. That kind of self-awareness can be unsettling to those who live by the rules of conformity. She doesn't feel the need to explain herself at every turn. She knows that not everyone will understand, and she accepts that. Her strength lies in her ability to remain true to herself even when others misjudge her. She is not seeking their approval, she is seeking a life that aligns with her values, her purpose, and her truth. Her actions are not impulsive or reckless. They are born of deep thought and careful consideration. She takes the time to weigh her options, to reflect on what aligns with her vision for her life. And when she chooses a path, she walks it with confidence, even if it leads her into uncharted territory. To those who misunderstand her, she may seem unyielding. But to those who take the time to look closer, she is a testament to the power of authenticity and self-respect. She is not defined by how others see her, but by how she sees herself. And in that, she finds peace. She is a catalyst for change, though she never set out to be one. Her very existence, her choices, her refusal to conform ripple outward, challenging the status quo in ways that others cannot ignore. She doesn't demand attention, but the strength with which she carries herself draws it nonetheless. Change begins with her because she dares to question what so many accept without thought. She disrupts the comfortable patterns of those around her. In her presence, old assumptions feel fragile, outdated, and insufficient. Not because she argues loudly or insists on being right, but because she lives differently, fearlessly, authentically. The quiet confidence with which she moves through the world is a call to others, urging them to examine their own lives, their own beliefs, and the ways they have allowed themselves to be limited. Her actions inspire not because she seeks to lead, but because she refuses to follow blindly. She shows others that there is strength in stepping away from the crowd, in questioning what everyone else accepts as truth. For some, her defiance is unsettling. It challenges the systems they've built, the hierarchies they've maintained, the roles they've grown comfortable in. But for others, she is a revelation, a reminder that they too can choose a different way. Change is rarely easy, and it is often met with resistance. She knows this, but she presses forward anyway. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because she cannot live any other way. Her journey is her own, but its impact is far-reaching. Those who watch her, those who doubt her, even those who oppose her, they are all affected by her refusal to settle. She doesn't set out to lead revolutions, but her quiet determination sparks them nonetheless. Through her, others see the possibility of a world that is freer, more honest, and more aligned with their own truths. She is a reminder that real change begins not with grand gestures, but with the courage to live as your truest self. She is a breaker of barriers, though she doesn't carry a hammer or raise a battle cry. Her very existence challenges the walls built by tradition, expectation, and fear. She doesn't seek conflict, but she does not shy away from it either. When she encounters a boundary meant to confine her, she does not stop and ask permission. She moves through it, over it, or around it, as if the barrier was never meant to hold her at all. Her strength lies not just in her ability to overcome, but in her refusal to accept the limits placed upon her. She knows these barriers were built long before she arrived, built to contain women like her, women with ambition, with vision, with the audacity to dream. But she also knows that these barriers are not immutable. They are made of fear, of ignorance, of the need to control. And fear, she has learned, is no match for determination. Her actions are not loud or violent, they are deliberate and profound. With every step she takes, she chips away at the structures that once seemed unshakable. She does this not just for herself, but for those who come after her. Each barrier she breaks becomes a door, a passageway for others to follow. She understands the weight of her actions, the significance of what she carries. She carries the hopes of those who were told they could not, the dreams of those who were made to feel small, and she carries them with grace, knowing that each victory is not just hers, but a shared triumph. She does not look back to count her accomplishments, for she knows the work is not done. There are always more barriers, always new challenges. But she presses forward, knowing that every wall she breaks makes the world a little freer, a little brighter, and a little more open for those who will one day follow in her footsteps. She deserves respect, not because she demands it, but because she has earned it through the life she has chosen to lead. The respect she commands isn't rooted in titles, accolades, or public praise. It comes from the way she moves through the world with unwavering authenticity, from the way she refuses to be anything other than what she is. Her strength, her resilience, her courage, these are the things that draw admiration, even if they are not always immediately recognized. Respect isn't something that can be given freely, not when it's easily earned, nor is it something that can be taken by force. True respect comes from those who recognize the quiet power of a woman who refuses to bend to the expectations placed on her. A woman who chooses her path even when it leads her against the tide. It comes from those who see that the foundation she stands on is not built on the validation of others, but on the solid ground of her own truth. She earns respect in the way she listens to herself and refuses to be silenced by those who would seek to shape her into something less. It's in the moments when she stands firm, when she speaks her mind, when she acts with integrity. She commands respect not through forceful words, but through the silent assurance of her choices. Her actions are her message, clear and direct: I will not shrink. I will not become less for anyone. Those who truly respect her do so because they see her commitment to living a life that is unapologetically hers. They understand that her strength is not the absence of vulnerability, but the willingness to face that vulnerability with courage. They see the sacrifices she has made, the battles she has fought, and the quiet victory she has claimed. It is in these moments, away from the spotlight, that her true power is revealed. She doesn't ask for this respect, she simply lives in a way that demands it. She doesn't need to prove herself over and over again, her character speaks for itself. The respect she earns is not fleeting, it's a deep, enduring kind that is rooted in truth, and it carries with it the recognition that she is deserving of more than the world often offers. She is deserving of freedom, of space to grow, of a world that acknowledges her strength not as an exception but as a fundamental truth. She is free, not because the world grants her permission, but because she takes it. Freedom to her is not a luxury, it is a right, an intrinsic part of who she is, one she refuses to surrender. The world will try to box her in, try to label her and confine her to roles that have been assigned long before she took her first breath. But she sees those boundaries for what they are: fragile constructs designed to limit her potential. She steps beyond them, not with arrogance, but with the quiet confidence that freedom is not something to be given. It is something to be claimed. Her freedom is not without its challenges, nor is it without cost. To live freely is to face resistance, to endure the gaze of those who cannot understand why she refuses to conform. But she faces these obstacles not with defiance for the sake of it, but because she knows the value of her own autonomy. She chooses to live by her own terms, to make decisions that align with her heart, not with the expectations of others. In choosing her own freedom, she opens doors for others to follow. She does not seek recognition for this, for she does not live for the applause or the accolades. But the way she lives her life becomes a beacon for others who wish to break free from the chains that bind them. They see her, and they understand that if she can do it, so can they. And though their paths may be different, the courage she inspires becomes a shared thread. To be free is to be unburdened by the weight of other people's opinions. She understands that freedom is not the absence of responsibility, but the ability to choose how she will respond to the world around her. She does not let the judgments of others dictate her worth, for she knows that their perceptions are shaped by their own limitations. She rises above them, not in spite of them, but because she refuses to be defined by someone else's narrow view of what she can or cannot be. Her freedom is a quiet rebellion, a refusal to let the world shape her into something smaller than what she was meant to be. It is the courage to live without asking for permission, to be unapologetically herself. In doing so, she sets a powerful example for those who have long been told to wait, to shrink, to follow. Through her freedom, others find the strength to claim their own. And that is the most profound freedom of all, the freedom to be who you truly are, without apology, without regret, and without hesitation.